ah, ah, oh, aha, ha, ooh, ha, ah. And I thought my jokes were bad.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. We got our first preview for Todd Phillips' Joker movie, Joaquin Phoenix as this character, Arthur. So when I first saw this, I was like, what's going on? So I'll explain the new origin story that they're doing for this character, how this fits into the grander DC Universe continuity, and how they're treating sort of their spin-off DC Black Label, which is a brand new thing within the film universe. I'm still doing that DC streaming service giveaway. All you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. So first things first, if you have no idea what's going on, Joaquin Phoenix is playing Joker during the Joker spin-off film. They're doing an origin story for him, whether or not you feel like the Joker deserves a definitive origin story, because there's at least 8 different versions that we've seen between the movies, the TV shows, and the comic books. What they're doing with this version is that they're calling him Arthur Fleck, and if you've heard about the Martin Scorsese Joker project, this film is actually inspired by The King of Comedy, so I'll do a quick explainer for the plot of that movie, because as you can see, the scene that they're filming right here is around this Ha-Ha's comedy club. And most of you know that Robert De Niro is a character in the film. He's the owner of the comedy club where Joker goes, this Ha-Ha's club. So King of Comedy inspired, you have the King of Comedy himself in the movie, so we'll see how many Easter eggs they put in and around what looks like a suicide slum type of area, so I don't know how thematically close they'll be to the King of Comedy. They haven't said exactly what year it is during the course of this movie, but I think because the Joker is several years older than Batman, you can assume that this might be somewhere 80s, 90s, and that Batman is like a really young kid because they talked about Thomas Wayne being a really big character during the film. The thing about that is that Alec Baldwin was actually named as Thomas Wayne, and people were like, oh wow, he was actually supposed to be Batman during Tim Burton's Batman, so this is bringing it around full circle. I mean, obviously he went with Michael Keaton, and that was fantastic. He was a great version of Batman, but you do kind of wonder what the Alec Baldwin version of Batman was going to be. So what happened is that there was a report that the version of Thomas Wayne that we were going to see during this would be inspired by Trump, which made a bunch of people, me included, freak out just a little bit, like, wait a minute, I don't want that kind of a Thomas Wayne, because Thomas Wayne is actually supposed to be a really gentle person in Batman's history. Like, you look at the Christopher Nolan version of Thomas Wayne, that's typically what you think of when you think of that character.
Did you build this train, Dad?
Gotham's been good to our family, but the city's been suffering. People less fortunate than us have been enduring very hard times. So we built a new, cheap public transportation system.
So hearing that they might be getting all political with that character just sounded way too on the nose. So after that, people were freaking out to Alec Baldwin's Twitter handle because he is active on Twitter, and he responded by saying, "This is ridiculous. I am totally not doing this. They don't need me to play that character. They can get anybody to do that." So he quit the part within like a day or so of the studio announcing him as that character, which is kind of unfortunate, but I think it's important to say that they're not turning the Joker into a hero, even though this is his own movie. Like, I don't think they're meaning to turn him into an anti-hero the way that the Suicide Squad is supposed to feel like a bunch of anti-heroes. But again, it helps if you understand the plot and the themes of the King of Comedy movie, because that's meant to be a really dark comedy all about the bad aspects of celebrity worship in American media culture. During that movie, Robert De Niro's character is an aspiring comedian, but he's mentally deranged. He worships Jerry Lewis's character, who's sort of this really successful comedian within the context of the film, so he wants to do everything he can to become famous like him. But at every turn, Jerry Lewis's character rebuffs him. So when Robert De Niro's character fails trying the legit way to become famous and closer to Jerry Lewis's character, so that pushes Robert De Niro, who's already a mentally deranged character, off the deep end, so he decides the only way to become famous is to kidnap Jerry Lewis with another accomplice who's also obsessed with him and wants to go on this crazy dream date with him. Think about Joker Harley Quinn pairing. So he tells the producers of Jerry Lewis's TV show, you have to let me go on and do my comedy set so that I can be famous, then I'll release him. So the producers agree to his demands. He goes on live television, doing his comedy bit, telling a story, the really sad story about his upbringing, how he was abused, and the audience starts eating it up. At the end of the set, he confesses to kidnapping Jerry Lewis and says that he's going to set him free, but it was better to be king for a night than a schmuck for a lifetime. So they arrest him, Jerry Lewis eventually gets away, and while he's in prison, he starts penning an autobiography, meaning that he'll continue to be famous. So it's this really twisted take on celebrity worship and how people do really underhanded things to become famous. It's really, really dark comedy. So imagine the origin of the Joker flows a lot from that type of energy, where he's trying to become a comedian and it takes this really dark, twisted turn. What we don't know, though, is what sets him off. What are the triggers? Because during the Dark Knight films, the Joker feels like he wants to expose the truth of all these people that Batman's trying to protect. These good people, when the chips are down, they'll eat each other. So he feels like that's a fundamental truth that he's trying to get everyone to realize, primarily Batman, though. So it sounds like his arc during this movie is going to be coming to that realization slowly. Like he slowly tries to become a comedian, then comes to realize this grand truth about everything and tries to get everyone else to realize it too. I wouldn't be surprised though if he spends the first act of the film looking like this. The way they're explaining how this film fits into the continuity is that it's the beginning of DC Black Label films, which is sort of like a spin-off Elseworlds universe of stories where they can do whatever they want, one-off films that don't have to tie to Justice League and what's going on with the other big DC films. So think of it as, say, like watching the Flash movie and watching the Flash TV show. Like they're both two different characters, neither one has anything to do with the other. One is just one group of people's take on the character, the other is a completely different take. So like I said though, there have been at least 8 different versions of the Joker's origin story across all the movies, the comics, and the different TV shows. I think one of the most important things that this movie needs to do is just let everybody know that there is no official, definitive origin story for the Joker. You can tell as many as you want, and I think people will be on board for that as long as they don't try to lock this in as the official canon. Like, this is the only way, this is the true story of the Joker. Everybody else has been just doing their own spin on it. Thankfully, so far, that's kind of how they've been selling the film. At least people like Jeff Johns, like the other big comic book people that have been associated with DC and DC movies. Like, they're just like, this is going to be its own thing. We're going to continue to do this with other projects as they come up. But the whole reason for this DC Black Label of films to exist, this Elseworlds universe, is because what happens is bigger actors like Joaquin Phoenix, Todd Phillips, even Martin Scorsese, is they don't want to sign on for like 6 or 7 films, which is a pretty standard comic book film deal. Like, I think Ben Affleck had 5 movies on his Batman contract, and typically the better, bigger, more powerful filmmakers, they might be big comic book fans, they might have a really interesting idea for a DC film, but they don't want to tell 5 DC stories. They just want to do a one and done thing. So that's what this Elseworlds DC Black Label universe of films is supposed to be. And even within that self-contained universe, I don't think that those films or any other future films that they might make that would be Elseworlds are supposed to be connected. But I think as we get more information, they'll start explaining more about that kind of stuff. They have a fantastic cast. I think it'd just be interesting to see what this is actually going to look like when they start dropping footage. Right now, it's scheduled for release the first week in October next year. So like, we're getting ready to go see Venom the first week in October in a couple weeks. Next year around this time, we'll be watching that Joker movie. We might not get an official teaser till early next year. I think Aquaman in December is a little too soon, but just let me know what you think of the look of this so far. I know it's kind of weird, like we're all still trying to get used to the idea of 2 different Jokers existing. Congratulations, Omedeus Jones. You're the giveaway winner from my last big video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Click here for that Titans Batman trailer, and click here for that last big Flash trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.